Good evening. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, welcoming you to a Friday evening as we explore different topics and techniques of surviving and actually thriving after divorce. First, we have to get through it, right? And tonight's topic is one that we're going to discuss. It's a real challenging one. Every topic of divorce is a challenging one, but this one in particular has another very heavy layer, and that is divorcing a spouse with mental illness. It's complex, and many of you have done everything that you can to save this marriage, to help this person, but you're seeing the toxicity and the damage that is being caused by the mental health illness, and find the last resort is having to go through a divorce. My heart aches for you. I can't imagine how difficult this is, because divorce is hard enough without this complexity. So I'm going to give you just a few tips tonight, some tools that I hope will give you a consideration to help research and educate yourself, and also be some support in what you're going through. So as you're going through this divorce, and you need to have communication with your soon-to-be former spouse, I want you to know how helpful it can be if you deal in only the facts, that you stop having that emotional conversation that really just sucks you in and goes nowhere and doesn't resolve anything. If reconciliation is not a consideration for you, there is no reason for emotional conversation. There will be factual conversations, such as, I'll pick up the kids. Johnny's game is at 4:00 at the baseball game. You know, those types of facts that are necessary for the parent to be involved with their child. We never want to pull that from a parent unless there is damage and abuse to the child. So the more you can deal in the facts, remove that emotional conversation. Now, I know that you have a lot of emotions, and those are not simply going to go away because I say don't have emotional conversation. You need a proper place for those emotions, and that is with a therapist, with a pastor, with a support group. So September, I forgot the date, coming in September, contact me if you're willing and wanting to have to begin that healing process. A support group is really going to be helpful to you. They may not understand your exact details of your spouse or your divorce or the mental health issues, but they can provide support because they're going to get you in ways that other people don't. And unlike a therapy setting, a therapist is one-on-one. A group setting really allows you to hear and to know that you are not alone, even if you are struggling with mental health issues as you proceed through the divorce. So don't do this without an attorney. I am usually an advocate for someone doing a do-it-yourself divorce or going into mediation without attorneys. I'm usually a proponent of that. However, in this situation, you are going to need an attorney, someone who's experienced, someone who knows how to deal with this other person and deal with this other person's attorney. They may have fooled their attorney. And so you're going to need an attorney who's experienced with this to get through to, not to convince or to change, but to get through to and communicate to their attorney. So I do not advise that you do this without an attorney. I realize it's another layer, another complexity, another expense. However, this is dangerous territory, and I don't want you unprotected. So don't do this without an experienced attorney. And how would you know if they're experienced? You're going to have to interview different attorneys and get their background on what they have dealt with in the past of someone who is bipolar, or someone who is in depression, refuses to get help after years and years, or has had this mental psychotic break that sees no signs of diminishing. So do this with an attorney. Interview those attorneys, get the right person on your side, get that network of experts. Feeling the guilt of divorcing. This is so true, especially for you if you were going through a divorce with a person with mental illness, or a person who is mentally unstable. You're going to feel this guilt. It's like, I promised God, I vowed to God, my covenant was that I would stay with him till death do us part. However, in some mental health cases, those individuals with those illnesses have broken the covenant. They have abandoned the marriage. So I understand your guilt. And again, you're going to need a therapist. You're going to need a support group, someone who's going to walk through this guilt that you are dealing with and facing because of that layer of the mental health illness. And you are probably feeling like, I'm abandoning this person when they need me the most. Well, there may be a time to leave, to spare yourself and the children of the upcoming damage that's coming because this person will not get help, or is just incapable of getting healed or seeking out the help that he needs to manage, at least to manage his mental health illness. So I understand that feeling of guilt that happens for everyone, but especially those of you who are dealing with someone in a mental health illness. So I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm getting through of, yes, that guilt is going to be there, that shame is going to be there, all of that. And you do need to process it, but you also need to understand you are trying to survive a person with mental illness who is damaging and hurting you and the children. And it may be very necessary that a divorce takes place. Okay, point number 5. A person's instability may leave support for the children at risk. So if you have someone who perhaps is not able to work because of their mental health, and the future is really sketchy with them, then I would consider and talk this over with your attorney. Instead of child support or spousal support, of getting more of the assets that you have during the divorce instead of relying on child support. This may mean more of the equity of the home, more of the retirement, more of the assets, whatever you're dealing with, whatever assets you're dealing with, because you don't know the future of this unstable person or what they're going to do and how they're going to provide for the children. So better to have a chunk now, even if it's less of a chunk now, because you know what you have. And you don't have to wonder of the future of the instability and the lack of care for the children. I hope that all makes sense. And I truly hope that you are getting the support that you need. This is not, I always say, do not go through divorce alone, but especially in this situation, there are so many dynamics going on here. So again, let me just repeat these. Deal in facts only. Do not have emotional conversation. There's no reason for emotional conversation unless you are working on reconciliation. Okay, but if you have decided this divorce is going to happen, and then you say, well, he keeps coming at me, or she keeps coming at me, wanting this emotional conversation, that's when you can be strong, disciplined, kind, but firm. And there's this wonderful acronym called BIFF, B-I-F-F, to be brief, to be informative, to be friendly, and to be firm. You want to do all of those things as you communicate. But it's not going to do any good at this point if you go into this emotional conversation and this arguing that probably hasn't worked when you were married and is not going to work now. So I don't want to rehash it. Number one, deal in facts only, no emotional conversation. Don't do this without an experienced attorney. You cannot save this person to make, oh, I didn't even state this, did I? You cannot save this person. Let me make this point because it's a really important one. You cannot save this person. You need to make yourself and the kids safe from them. I wish you could. I wish that there was something you could do to fix this person, to make things right so that he or she would be a healthy person so that you could continue with relationship with them. But unfortunately, you've come to the point where you have decided divorce is the only way to keep sane through this and to protect yourself financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually. So, understand you are going to feel the guilt of divorce, of leaving someone who perhaps is more vulnerable because of their instability. But he or she, they're going to take the whole ship down. You have to save yourself and the children from this situation. A person's instability may mean support could be at risk for the children in the future or spousal support. So as you go into mediation, look for a larger chunk of the current assets so you will not have to depend on someone who is unstable and unable to provide what you need, what the children need for care. So, of course, a few Bible verses I love to stick up here because they are so critical for us to hold on to. When my anxieties multiply, your comforting calms me down. There are times when you just need to stop in place, take some very deep breaths, and ask God to hold you. He understands how overwhelming this is, and the anxieties are multiplying. Self-care is critically important, and one of those ways of self-care is to stop, to take deep breaths. This engages your frontal cortex. It helps your brain get more oxygen so you can think clearly, because when we're anxious, we breathe very shallow breaths. So the comforting of God calms us down. If you lack wisdom, ask God. He gives it generously without reproach, without blaming you or making you beg or shaming you. It'll be given to him. That is God's promise. This is a time certainly to be praying for wisdom because you will need it and discernment in the upcoming months ahead. I hope this has been of help. Connect with me for the next group. We're doing a Building Your Life After Divorce coming up in just a few weeks, and then the 10-week course of Divorce Support Anonymous. Let's get this healing started. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through and after the trauma of divorce. Have a good evening.